Welcome to this year's Exploratorium for Health Careers.
In our previous programs, we explored different ways of looking at how the machinery of our body, our cells, tissues, and organs, do their jobs to keep us running smoothly.
This year, we are going to step back further and look at how all of these systems must work together for the sake of the whole machine. It is an idea that we will call balance. It's odd, but it is often easier to define imbalance than it is to clearly define balance.
Think of an orchestra. An orchestra loses its delicate balance when the conductor is not present, or when the instruments are simply tuning up. Why do we watch a person walking a tightrope so carefully? Is it because we are riveted by concern for the possibility of the person falling? And why is a spinning top so mesmerizing? Is it because we are intrigued by the moment it slows down to the point of falling over?
In a similar way, we seem to always be watching for when we might get sick, like catch a cold or twist an ankle.
Thinking each day about how it is that we stay healthy and keep our bodies in tip-top shape by keeping ourselves balanced.
Well, today, we are going to focus on this idea of balance in health with special attention to the careers that are out there that would allow you to help other people keep their health in good balance. So what do we mean by good balance in health?
If you search for balanced health on the internet, you will find that thinking about good health as a balancing act is not new. Many different cultures throughout history have recognized that different parts of our human experience need to be kept in balance for us to get the most out of life. Even modern programs run at universities teach wellness by addressing balance in health.
Today, we will stick to a common system to describe what parts of human health we need to have balance. But remember, there are other systems that are out there that can be used just as easily. For our purposes today, we will divide the human experience into 4 categories.
Take a look at this pie chart that shows 4 parts to balanced health: physical health, intellectual health, emotional health, and social health.
Since we are talking about balance, how can we picture these 4 parts of our lives in a way that gives each one equal importance?
Have you ever tried to build a mobile? You know, one of those gizmos you hang from the ceiling?
If we picture each part of the human experience, physical, intellectual, emotional, and social, at the top of a mobile, we could build upon each of these to explore a little further what we mean by good balance in health.
Let's start with the physical parts of health.
Physical health is actually the easiest part because we think about it all the time. Examples include healthy bones and a strong heart,
free of cholesterol and blood clots, lungs that have not been beat up by cigarette smoke, a digestive tract that has been treated kindly by being served plenty of vegetables and fiber, and that has avoided being suckered by advertisements for sugar-packed sodas and fast food. And let's not forget the brain. Remember, the central nervous system sitting securely inside the safety of our skulls and spinal column must be protected as best we can from the hazards of sports, car accidents, and falls.
Now, let's consider our intellectual health. And we had better do so quickly because, as you can see, our mobile is pretty lopsided right now. The intellectual health that we're discussing, you might be surprised, has little to do with a person's performance in school or how well they do in a spelling bee.
Have you ever looked at the history of your searches on your phone or computer? If not, imagine how much a person would learn about you by looking through everything you have looked up while you search the internet.
These are intellectual pursuits, and just like our physical health, you can treat yourself to a diet of healthy information or not so healthy information.
Now, with real food, you can look at the nutritional label to know if it is healthy or unhealthy. But it is not quite so easy to tell reliable information from unreliable information. Therefore, critical thinking is the intellectual tool that helps you to identify information that you can trust from information that is simply junk.
So what things help you become a critical thinker? For our mobile, let's add a computer to represent the information age.
But we could just as easily have used a book or a newspaper to represent sources of information. And how about people? Let's add a person to the mobile because good old conversations are one of the most important ways to learn things.
And depending on who we learn them from, a parent, a teacher, a friend, or maybe someone with kooky ideas, That information may be accurate or inaccurate.
Again, balancing our diet of healthy information is how we develop critical thinking skills. And only you can decide how to strike a balance of healthy information as you follow the trail of your individual growth.
Well, that seems to balance our mobile a little, but we still have work to do.
Next, let's talk about emotion.
Can you imagine a life without emotion? It makes me sad to think about.
Emotional health and emotions are what gives life its color. It fuels our days. It inspires poets, musicians, painters, every person on the face of the planet.
But emotions too require balance.
Have you ever had a day filled with nothing but happiness, after which you feel completely worn out and you just want to be alone for a while? Or have you had something horrible happen in a relationship when you thought, I will never be the same, my life is ruined, only to look back on the situation maybe a week or a month or a year later to realize
The situation wasn't a big deal at all, and maybe even a little funny.
our emotional structure has a way of finding its own balance in most situations.
People make it through very difficult times due to something we call resilience, the ability to bounce back from tough times. It is when our emotional balance does not bounce back that we might benefit from seeing a counselor to help work out a solution.
It's kind of like when you twist your ankle and wonder if you should get an x-ray.
If you can't walk on that ankle, an x-ray might be a good idea. Similarly, if a tough experience affects your emotions in a way that makes it hard to eat,
Or sleep, or interferes with your relationships, or schoolwork, it is probably a good idea to talk to a counselor about it.
finally, there is a social side to the human experience.
Do you ever wonder how it is possible for people who have very little food, or who have no home to go home to, or who have suffered terrible tragedies in their personal lives can look forward to waking up the next day?
Some of this we referred to earlier as emotional resilience, and is part of our emotional machinery. But there is a social side that has to do with friends, family, and community.
Something we will call social health.
It could almost be described as your sense of purpose. And one could argue that everyone has a purpose in life, even if it is simply to procure food or water or shelter to live in. So let's represent these as symbols of humanity, people that are important to you and who bring purpose to your life. Well, there you have it. A mobile that is finally in pretty good balance. Not an easy task, I might add, but one that is well worth our while as each one of us tries to sort out the different priorities that deserve our attention each day. As you go through the different workstations in today's Healthcare Exploratorium, think of the many careers that help in one way or another to give people an opportunity to explore their own PIES priorities.
The physical, intellectual, emotional, and social health needs that face each of us each day.
There are careers that address each one of these parts of life. And importantly, don't forget the reason this is called the Exploratorium of Healthcare Careers is because we hope you will ask questions and explore the subject of health while you're here today. Have fun exploring and looking into the questions that interest you.